on multiple planes and get the same creature. We have Star Trek. And then finally, animals like us are bilaterally symmetric. So from the tapeworms, from the platyhelminths on up, all these creatures have bilateral symmetry, which means you can divide them in exactly one plane into two equal halves. Germ layers. All right. As you go from being a zygote to being an embryo and being an adult, of course, you go through the process of development, right? And in that process, you form from zygote to embryo, you form these layers of cells, right? And then these layers of cells become fated to become the different organs and so forth. So at a certain part in the development, you'll get something that's like cup-shaped kind of thing, or maybe a ball kind of thing. But that ball or cup shape, certain portions of cells in that shape are fated to become different parts of the body. Fated to become skin, thyroid gland, whatever, bones, things like that. So because we call those germ layers, and different animals have different sets of germ layers. Sponges, having no true tissue, have only a single germ layer, right? So one layer is going to be all the sponge needs. Cnidarians have two germ layers. Because of that, as adults, they have two cell layers, so they're called diploblastic. DI for two, diploblastic. So two layers. And then platyhelminths and everything above have three germ layers. Even if, as adults, they might have many more than 3 layers of cells. They originate from 3 layers of cells. And these are named from the position, how outer, inner, or middle they are between. So the outermost layer of cells is a hollow ball of cells. The outermost layer is the ectoderm. The middle layer is the mesoderm, and the innermost layer is the endoderm. So ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. And so those are the triploblastic animals that have all those layers. And then you can go, and if you take physiology or whatever, or comparative anatomy, you might have to memorize like every organ, what germ layer does it develop from, like the muscles develop from this germ layer, and the brain develops from that germ layer, and all those things. Well, we don't have to memorize any of that stuff, just the germ layer. The coelom is the body cavity. Okay, it's the chamber inside of you where your guts are. So, like when you dissected this frog, you cut through the abdominal wall to get into the coelom of the frog, and you saw coiled in there the intestines and the stomach and everything. So, animals that lack a coelom, they don't have a body cavity. Their gut is buried directly in the flesh of the animal. They're considered acoelomate. They don't have a body cavity. A true coelom is completely lined with mesoderm. That means the inner walls of the chamber as well as the outer walls of the gut inside are lined with mesoderm. So an animal that doesn't fulfill that condition, has a body cavity that's not completely lined with mesoderm, that's called pseudocoelomate. Right? Nematodes are pseudocoelomate. And finally, animals that have a body cavity, one or more body cavities, and that is completely lined with mesoderm, those animals are coelomate. So antelopes and people and dogs and all those things are coelomate. Okay. So getting into some of the animals and so forth. The sponges, cephalic filter feeders, they have no tissues, no symmetry. Right? They barely fit the definition of an animal because they're multicellular. They have specialized cells that do different things. Those specialized cells are not organs and tissues, so they can't really have organs or anything like that. Cnidarians have cnidocytes, which are the stinging cells, and they alternate between the sexual and asexual phases, so they can give you advantages with both forms of reproduction. The jellyfish, for example, switches between the sexual medusas, which produce gonads, and the asexual polyps, which just clonally reproduce medusas. All of them are diploblastic and radially symmetric. Platyhelminths are the flatworms. They are the first of the bilaterally symmetrical organisms. They have a lot of them, 2 of them, 3 classes are parasitic. So a large number of platyhelminths are parasitic. They have no body cavity. They are acoelomate. They are triploblastic. They have 3 layers of cells. Nematoda is the roundworms. They here, pseudocoelinates. Most forms are microscopic, but many economically important ones are parasitic. They're important to people either as, like people really notice them, let's say, either as agricultural pests or as parasites. Annelids are the segmented worms. They're the first to require a closed circulatory system. Mollusks include the clams and snails and octopi and all that stuff. Their body is divided into a foot, a mantle, and a visceral mass. And the foot is just a big wad of muscle, like in a clam, the part that can stick out and move the clam around. Or the octopus's arm, that's the foot. The mantle is a thin sheet of tissue that surrounds the body, such as the mantle in the clam, which is what secretes the shell. And the visceral mass is a bag of guts. You know, like arthropods, the exoskeleton, they are the most successful animals. Okay, they're the most successful of all the animals. Some of them undergo metamorphosis. That's when the animals change their physiology and morphology as part of their life cycle. So they're not the only ones to undergo metamorphosis, but many of them have a very dramatic metamorphosis. Could you give me an example of a metamorphosis in the arthropoda?
Grasshoppers change from male to female.
Yeah, grasshoppers are said to have, from male to female.
Well, would a caterpillar into a butterfly be?
They might. I don't know if grasshoppers change from male to
Yeah,
female.
once they rub together.
No, that's locusts. From grasshoppers to locusts.
Grasshoppers is what?
Some animals do change from male to female, like the blue-headed rat.
Would it be caterpillar to butterfly?
Yes, that would be a really good example of a complete metamorphosis. Yeah, nymph is usually used when it's an incomplete metamorphosis, when the babies look like little adults. Like a grasshopper, the baby is different from the adult, not exactly like a tiny adult, but it's similar, it's recognizable as a little grasshopper, right? So that's why baby grasshoppers are called nymphs. But baby butterflies aren't called butterfly nymphs, they're called larvae, right, or caterpillars, colloquially. And the reason that they're called larvae is because they're totally different from the adults. So we can think of several species that have that. Flies have maggots, and beetles have grubs, right? As butterflies and moths have caterpillars. So those are examples of animals that undergo complete metamorphosis. Mosquitoes have wigglers, right? And they pupate into the flying form. And then some of the other ones have some rather shocking ones. Google internet picture won't do them justice. The crane fly, which looks like a giant mosquito, but it's really harmless. Comes from a larvae, which the photo cannot describe how horrifying it is. It really is one of the most disgusting looking creatures in nature, and it looks pestier than the actual crane fly in weight. Anyway, yeah, look at that face. Wow, I mean, that is. Yeah, I'm not even sure their mothers love them. Wow, that is one freakishly weird looking creature.
And those are
That picture right there looks like a close-up of a sea monkey.
A sea monkey?
Yeah, those little things that you buy
You
in the
mean
grocery store.
like the photos on the surface of the sea monkey, like the advertisement for the sea monkey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the real sea monkey. Because this is what a sea monkey actually looks like in reality, right here. When you actually hatch them out. Yeah, they don't look like so. You never did one, did you?
No, I used to have a lot of sea monkeys
Yeah?
growing up, and I remember my grandmother had a magnifying glass for her book.
Yeah.
And we moved it up to the fish tank or whatever, and I just remember seeing like these big eyeballs, and that's
Yeah, they do have big eyeballs, as you can see
and
here.
it was cute.
They do have big eyes. So anyway, okay. So all of those are protostomes. That means that when they form their first den, when the embryo is forming, it forms its first den. That first den is fated to become the mouth of the animal. Now all the following are deuterostomes, which means that the mouth is second dent forms. Okay, the first dent is stated to be the anus, is the hornbill dent. So we have the echinoderm, starfish and their kind, like the,
You go back a little bit?
Can go, yeah, a couple of it.
the starfish, the sand dollar, and sea cucumber and all that stuff. And they are radially symmetric in adulthood. In larval forms, they are bilaterally symmetrical. And then finally, we have the chordates, which is, from our perspective, a very diverse group. We include things from the lowly tunicate, all the way up through things like lampreys and hagfish, to sharks and rays, to goldfish, frogs, iguanas, dinosaurs, birds, mammals, and things like that. So it's a big group of all kinds of different creatures. And they're noted for having four characteristics: a notochord, a hollow dorsal nerve cord, pharyngeal slits, and a post-anal tail. Okay? All right. What's that? Yeah, even Justin Timberlake is a chordate. I think I was trying to remember Justin Bieber's name when I wrote that, but I just
That's
defaulted
debatable
to
on whether or not he's,
another fun name. What's that?
it's debatable on whether or not he's a chordate.
Yeah, exactly. But is there a difference between Bieber and Timberlake?
Not really.
Well, I think.
You think so?
Not really.
Bieber is the Dexter
I
of
think
Bieber.
Timberlake is actually talented.
Bieber.
Yeah.
You think Timberlake is talented?
Well, you gotta take your Bieber fever relief.
That's true. Maybe we should release sterilized Justin Bieber into the environment to combat the threat of Bieber fever.
I'm
That's
thinking
how we
fine.
do it with, you need to just, I think we've already done that one, just with regular Justin Bieber. If only that had been done with Miley Cyrus's father.
Yeah, that's true.
We knew,
Right?
we knew.
Your achy breaky heart?
Yeah, at that moment, we should have put a stop to it, and we could have saved ourselves a wrecking ball.
I used to have that secret set.
You are the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, David didn't
It's
think.
pretty pervasive.
Yeah.
Many people fell into that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, in what phylum do the flatworms fall into?
Platyhelminth.
Platyhelminth bees, yes, okay. So, all right, we talked about the most successful group of animals. What is it?
Insects.
Arthropods, yeah, insects. Insects, yeah, so if I said the most successful phylum, then it would be arthropods, but the most successful group of, yeah, insects would be a valid answer. What's the most successful group of vertebrates?
Probably mammals.
Fish. The most successful group of vertebrates are the fish. Very, very diverse group, cover.
Yeah.
Where the oceans cover most of the planet and everything, so lots of different species of fish.
The fact that I don't.
Nowhere near as successful as the arthropods, but
Yeah.
if you restricted to vertebrates.
What planet did you say was the most successful among arthropods?
Insects.
Insects.
Yeah, there are more types of insects than spiders or crustaceans or any of that stuff. Okay, what makes sponges different from all the other animals?
No symmetry.
No symmetry?
Very
that's
symmetrical.
good. No organs, that's good too, okay. Yeah.
One layer of cells,
Yes, they only have one germ layer of cells.
germ layer.
Okay, what are the distinguishing characteristics of birds? Feathers, yeah, and what about the face?
Beak.
Beak, yeah, birds have lightened the load on their head considerably by going to the beak, way of saving quite a bit of weight. Birds are very weight conscious, they have hollow bones, like everyone knows and stuff. And then, what are the distinguishing characteristics of mammals? Fur and milk, yeah. the possession of hair or fur, and the production of milk in the female. How do animals reproduce mostly?
Sexually.
Sexually, yeah. Most animals reproduce sexually. Only a few animals only some of the simpler animals are capable of asexual reproduction, typically through something like fragmentation or more commonly parthenogenesis. Okay. What animals can reproduce by fragmentation?
Things like planarians.
Planarians are one. There are another animal that can reproduce. Maybe a better known animal that can reproduce by fragmentation.
Starfish?
Yeah, starfish. Planarians and starfish can do that. What do birds and mammals have in common?
They both have lungs.
Warm-blooded.
They're both warm-blooded, yeah.
Warm-blooded, yeah.
They are both warm-blooded, that separates them from the reptiles.
Yeah, even though the birds only have a one-way
That's not
lung.
endo or ectothermic, that's called something else, isn't it?
Well, some people use the term ecto and endothermic, and in your lab practice for some reason she wrote ectothermic, which means the chemical. Anyway, but in they'll also use homeotherm to mean an animal that can maintain its body temperature. So they sometimes use different language, or just warm-blooded and cold-blooded. But yeah, animals, creatures that can manipulate their body temperature on purpose are, we call them ectotherm birds. People even use the word poikilotherm for, anyway. Okay, so what separates the reptiles from the amphibians? The trait that we still have, and birds still have it.
The amnion?
The amnion, yeah. The amniotic sac, the basis of the eggshell, the bird, or through the human inside their egg, you can see the amnion, a little bit protective, okay, and this is the difference between something like one of us, you know, reptiles, birds, and things like that, and something like frog egg, naked shell, you see just a mucus layer. These things need to be in a moisture. In most cases, they will be exposed to 100% humidity, or they won't be able to develop. So that is a huge advance that brings, that allows reptiles to escape from having to breed in pools and so forth. All right. Going out of the animals and into AMP type stuff, what are the 4 types of tissue? What's that? Epithelial.
No, connective, muscle.
Is that? Bone connective.
No.
Nerve. Sorry, the last class called nerve for some reason. I don't know why the nerve is less well known. But just remember, there's 4 types of tissue. 2 really broad ones, right? Epithelium, connective, all kinds of different tissues in there. And then 2 really specific ones, muscle and nerve. You know that. You know what muscle and nerve are, right? So just remember that. And then what are the 3 types of muscle tissue?
There is the skeletal, smooth, and cardiac.
And then skeletal, smooth, and cardiac, right? Okay, what is the matrix? What if I told you that Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Cody in Pee-wee's Playhouse? Or was it Cowboy Curtis? Yeah. That's Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, wow.
That blew my mind when someone pulled that out. Like, yeah, and you can watch the old Pee-wee's
Famous movie about Vietnam. He was a kid in that movie about Vietnam.
Apocalypse.
Oh, is he?
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
The kid that gets shot and everything.
It's amazing when you catch actors like before their breakout role. In Henry V, Christian Bale is the kid in the baggage train who gets killed. Yeah.
Christian Bale was also in Empire of the Sun as a young kid.
I didn't know that.
Bale was also in,
The machinist?
Favorite newsies?
yeah, when he was young, he
Wow.
sang and danced.
Favorite line, he gets you on a Hershey bar.
So what is the Matrix?
No.
Connective tissue, connected to the matrix.
Yeah, it's connected to the Matrix. So what is it about the Matrix that makes it the Matrix?
Well, it's secreted.
Yeah, the living stuff is embedded in some other stuff that's not alive, right? That's the idea. That's why they call it that in the movie, right? Because all the bodies were embedded in this computer thing, right? And the computer thing's not alive, and the living people were embedded in it. So in the same way as that, you have the living blood cells embedded in the, what's the matrix in blood? Plasma, right? Plasma, which is just a liquid, right? It's some juice, and these live cells are embedded in, or bone, where you've got bone of the osteocytes and osteoblasts embedded in that, or the hyaline cartilage, where you've got the cartilage cells embedded in cartilage. That's what a matrix is.
So basically, the definition of cells embedded in.
Non-living material. The matrix is the non-living material in which connective tissue is embedded. What about the heartbeat? It's made up of contraction and release. What's the contraction and release called? Diastole. Yeah. Or some will say systole and diastole. I thought it was systole and diastole. I don't know which is right, but.
At least I know how to spell it.
Yeah, I don't know. So systole is contraction and diastole is relaxation. What chambers of the body contain what organs? So what does the thoracic chamber contain?
Thoracic,
Heart,
lungs,
esophagus,
esophagus,
sinus.
sinus,
And what does the abdominal cavity contain?
liver, stomach, gallbladder,
kidneys,
and small intestine.
Yeah. Okay. Herbivory, omnivory, carnivory. Okay, what's a lion?
Carnivore.
Carnivore, right. What's a cow? Herbivore. What's a human? Omnivore, right. Okay, detoxification of different substances. All right, so what organ purifies nitrogenous waste in the blood? Kidney. Okay. What organ